Get Serial TV with Thomas and Camilla. Right now, we're lucky enough to be joined by Andrew Marmont for his weekly sports segment. How are you first?
Very well, guys. Very well. Good to hear.
What's going on in the world of sport?
The key things I think we'll talk about today. First of all, Australian cyclist Cadel Evans is doing very well in the warm-up event to the Tour de France, which starts next month. So have a chat about that, and also the 2020 World Cup of cricket is on, and I think we'll talk about how relevant is it really, realistically from an international perspective. If a minnow team gets up and wins the thing, is it really going to do wonders for their game, or is it simply a promotional vehicle for the the wider cricket community? So
going back to Cadel Evans, he's been in the game for quite a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean in terms of professional cycling, he has. The Tour de France obviously being the main event for cyclists. In 2005 he made his debut. He's already had 2 seconds, a 4th and 8th in the 4 years that he's done it. So I think it's really relevant. Some of the papers at The Age had an article that he, leading the event now, it's a really good indication of where you are going into the event, and he is leading it, and a couple of the guys who will be in the event are also, easily sort of leading against them as well.
Looking good.
Yeah, it is. So I think it's quite promising to have a look at that. So.
Yeah, good. I understand he's training grounds in the Great Ocean Road as well. I mean, you can't get much better than that as far as endurance.
That's right. I mean, he must do a lot of miles in his legs, and why not? Yeah, I mean, you've got so much open space here in Victoria. You could just go and he does it himself. I think he's a solo trainer as well. So
there's a lot of open space, but how much of that is actually road? I mean, a lot of it's sort of paddocks and stuff. It's not really ideal cycling for a paddock. It probably wouldn't be a very good training regime. I mean, it's not even similar to what you're taking on in the.
No, have a comfy seat.
No. Yeah. Another thing is you said back in the game before, cycling's not a game, it's a sport.
It's a term.
It's a term, but it's a wrong term. It's a sport, not a game.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What else is news in sport?
Well, apart from Cadel, the 2010 World Cup cricket's on, and in terms of what's happening at the moment, the Super 8s are on, which is the second phase, and you've got a couple of teams. Well, Netherlands got knocked out early on. They did win a major game though.
Not overly unexpected that they got knocked out. I mean, have you ever associated the Netherlands with cricket? I didn't know they played.
Not particularly.
Well, they were in Shane Warne Cricket 99 on PlayStation, so
oh, they must be good then.
That's always a good indication for me. But yeah, I thought there's a couple of there's that team as well, and so I mean, we could sort of have a talk about what does it actually really make any sense on the world stage if they get up and win it or they progress.
It's been going for a while now, but it hasn't really. I don't know. I suppose it's like the NAB Cup in football. It's like maybe an area of experimentation with the game. Like
yeah, it's still in its infancy, if you like.
We'll definitely talk more about that after the break, though. Right back after this.
Get Serial TV with Thomas and Camilla. Yes, Andrew Marmont's still joining us on the couch for his weekly sports segment. Now, just before the break there, we were talking about 2020 cricket.
That's right. And so, if you're not aware, the Super 8 stage is on at the moment, which means that after the first round, they progress whoever leads their group. So the main things here, in terms of the minnow teams, there's been a bit of talk about. So, the Netherlands upsetting England in the first match, Scotland, having New Zealand pretty close there for a while. So, it's been a bit of talk about being a lottery 2020 and sort of not being a bit of a random result. A guy called Simon Wilde, who's for the Times newspaper in England, he suggested, and I quote him, if a team from Zimbabwe who are socially and economically crippled can beat a team from Australia, where sport cannot be more important and organised, it must be forward if they can win.
Yeah.
Basically,
as a good thing for the sport, you're saying? Or?
Well, I mean, it's in some ways it's a bit of a leveller. The teams that wouldn't have much of a shot over the longer format, they might rise up and challenge the other teams. But is it really going to benefit them in the long run in terms of creating a decent base of for the sport in that country when it's really a a very shorter, condensed version.
For those at home
Definitely.
who don't know what 2020 cricket is, it's 20 overs for each team, and pretty much it's just a race to the finish, seeing how many runs you can get in those 20 overs, isn't it?
That's a great analogy. I mean, you've got the Test matches, which are 5 days in length, very longer. 50 over cricket, which sort of came 30 years ago, which has been the sort of main form of limited overs, and then you've got the 2020, which is 20
Sorry,
overs.
50. Let's go. 50.
We won't go into the accents because I could win that argument quite well.
Yeah, you probably
being
could.
after 2 years. Yeah.
Yes. No, well, do you think it's a good promotional sort of? Do you think that, I mean, even though it's not a long, drawn-out Ashes series and it's probably not a great indication of cricketing ability, it will, I don't know, inspire a culture of, you know, cricket following in sports like the Netherlands, countries like the Netherlands?
Well, that's I guess what you have to work out. I mean, I looked up the New York Times just to see their coverage as well in world sports, and they had an article about 2020, and it sort of related. It was very much introducing the sport, but still gave all the facts. So if the Netherlands they sort of take it up, you know, in Scotland's and that sort of thing, then it can only be good because it gets coverage, and you know, maybe there's again the idea of awareness. Maybe that's sort of a good thing if it's not, you know, the actual cricket itself.
It gets the countries in the public eye as well a bit, boosts their profiles, so I think that's important.
And from an entertainment point of view, I mean, it's really entertaining. Just watching, I mean, a lot of criticism goes to Test cricket because it's quite boring and long and
drawn out,
and short little spurts of intensity. But this is intense the whole time. It's great.
Yeah. Well, that's the debate, isn't it? Is it great or is it not?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We'll be right back after this.